I like to subscribe, do all that, you know what time it is. It's Netflix time. This movie's called Through My Window. It's a European Spanish film, but they do speak English in it. Spoiler alert, let's just get it. So it starts off with this girl named Raquel. She's in this reading class. My bad, a writing class, but for some reason she doesn't like to review what she's written. On her spare time, she's been stalking her next door neighbor by the name of Aries. Him and his three brothers are part of this conglomerate called the Alpha 3. Eventually, they're supposed to be taking over their father's regime or something like that. She looks out the window and finds out one of the brothers stole her Wi-Fi password. She's like, what the fuck, dude? But she ain't even tripping off this shit because she's still stalking Aries. Later on that night, she hears music, so she peeps out the window, and Aries is down there listening to music. He knows that Raquel is stalking him, but he finds out some things about her too. Even though he acts nonchalant, she still doesn't care. Next day, she goes to school. This is her friend Daniela, and her other friend with the pink hair, his name is Yoshi. Those are her best friends. Later on, she goes to the soccer field and hides behind the bleachers so she can watch Aries work out. Later on, Aries walks by himself towards the woods, and of course she stalks him. But not really paying that much attention, she ends up getting lost in the woods. Then Aries finds her and is like, yo, what are you doing stalking me? He's like, man, I just came out here to smoke in a quiet place, so what are you doing here? Then she confesses that she does like him. They have a little moment, he acts like he's about to kiss her, but then he walks her home. Then she goes back home and talks to her mom. Mom knows what you've been doing, she knows what's up. Afterwards, she goes back to her room. Then Aries all of a sudden sneaks into her room. He tries to read this book called The Temple. She doesn't let him read it. Now, apparently The Temple is a very important book to her. It was her father's book, and she was mad that it never got published. Anyway, they have a little moment. He acts like he's about to start doing stuff to her, but he doesn't. Then we see Yoshi. Apparently, he's a delivery driver. He's making a delivery to the school. But really, he just fooled the security guard just to get keys to the swimming pool. Then we see this nice area on the hill where it's like a castle and a carnival there. Now, I think they're in Barcelona. I'm not really sure. Well, anyway, next day, Yoshi rides up there, letting people know that he got the swimming pool keys. Well, he lets Raquel know because she actually works there as a vendor. Then all of a sudden, Aries pops up out the blue. And he invites her to this party and tells her to bring a friend, if you want. So she goes to this party with Daniela. She ends up seeing Aries and tries to follow him back into the VIP status. But she can't get back there until Aries' brother lets him in. She ends up going through the spot but going through a door that leads her in the back alley, where she finds Aries. And then she starts teasing him just for payback. Then she goes back to the bar where the younger brother is sitting. He mad because he can't get no drink. But she sneaks him one anyway. He ends up getting furred and Daniela's got to babysit him. And he's all up on her, wanting her to be his new boo. But she like, man, you too young for me, cut it out. She ends up taking it back to her house so he can sleep it off. Then all of a sudden Aries pops through the window again. And they're basically going to sleep there until his father gets up to go to work. And they end up fooling around while his brother's in the bed sleep. It's crazy. She talks about it with her friends the next day. Raquel and Yoshi go back to the house to study. But she gets a present from Aries and ends up being a new cell phone. Now, why did he give her a new cell phone? Because apparently the younger brother was so drunk he accidentally threw her phone out the car when they was heading home. So she wants to go back to the house to return the phone because she thinks it's too expensive of a present. But once Raquel gets there, Aries asks, can he kiss her? To his surprise, she turns around and kisses him. And you know what happens after that? You know what happens after this. He ended up giving her the business. Meanwhile, Yoshi's still at the house covering for Raquel. Because when mom asks us where Raquel went, Yoshi says she had to go pick up some other books from the school or whatever like that. Extracurricular studying activities. After they did what they did, Aries was kind of acting a little cold-hearted. She felt the intensity in the room, got up and left. Unknowingly to her, she left her necklace there, which will be another reason for her to come back. So she's in school reading, she's texting her homegirl Daniela. Then Aries sends her a text message with the necklace on. So she's still kind of mad at him, but she knows she gotta go back over there and get that necklace back. So she heads over there after school, and now having pool parties, playing a game called Never Have I Ever. So for people that don't know, it's basically a drinking game. You say something that you've never done, and if you have done it, you gotta take a drink. Simple as that. So they play games throwing each other in the pool, and then she's like, why do you have salt water in the pool? So Aries says it's salt water because he's allergic to chlorine. So he takes her upstairs to his room to give her the necklace. And you know what happens from this point. You know what happens. He ended up giving her the business once again. And then Claudia comes in and tells Raquel that Aries had to leave out. So she's feeling kind of abandoned by Aries at this point right now. But the thing is, Aries never left, and you could tell he feels bad about it. You can tell by his facial expressions he's kind of catching feelings. He ends up going back to the house, chilling with Yoshi, watching scary movies. Then her, Daniela, and Yoshi end up getting invited to this party. They got all dressed up, flexing. But she also came with the younger brother. He acted like they dating, but Daniela's like, nah, we not. But then they get by themselves, get some drink. What are they doing here? She going after the young meat. Well, younger meat. I think she's like 15. He's like 12 or whatever. He got the franchise. He got dope, but that's besides the point. But then another girl came to play. What is this? Anyway, Raquel and Yoshi get to dancing. They just chilling. But she saw Aries kissing some other chick, and she's like, fuck this shit, I'm out. Yoshi goes with her, and they end up going to the little swimming pool thing. Remember, Yoshi had the keys for that shit. Yeah, they best friends, but you could tell Yoshi kind of likes her more than that. Daniela came too, and she was like flipping switches trying to find the bubbles or whatever. I don't know what happened. It looked like she let some raw sewage out in the goddamn pools. Like, what the fuck? Well, anyway, Aries is going back home, and the girl he was kissing, he just tells her to drop her off. He ain't doing nothing with Shorty. As he's chilling in the house, he hears Raquel outside. She's drunk as shit. He gets her back in the house and puts her to bed. But before she falls asleep, he tells her this story about how he's trying to keep his parents together. His father would always go on business trips, and his mom was smashing somebody else that wasn't his father. But his father went out here smashing all type of chicks. And that's the reason he's never really wanted to fall in love, because his father was the same way. I guess she understands where he's coming from, but at the same time, she was drunk as shit. Next day, his father and his brother have a meeting. Basically, they want Aries to stop dating Raquel and be a gigolo. It's like, dude, really? I guess it's better for the company or some shit like that. Then he meets Raquel in the library and apologizes for how he's been acting. He tries to make it up to her and invite her to this costume party, while at the same time she's supposed to be studying with Yoshi in the library. Afterwards, Yoshi's like, look man, this nigga be disrespecting you. Don't expect me to pick up the pieces this time. Because he's always been there for it, but at this point he's like, man, enough's enough. And you can tell right there it's definitely more than just best friends with them two. At least on Yoshi's end anyway. So he's coming dressed to the door as a Greek god, because of his name Aries, you know what I'm saying? And she's dressed like a witch because he always was calling her a witch at the beginning. You'll get it when you watch the movie. So they get in the car and then he ends up changing plans at the last minute. They're not really going to a costume party, they end up going to the building where his dad works at. It's a beautiful little setup, I ain't gonna front. He got a nice little layout for her on the top of the tower. Couple more words exchanged, and he ends up giving her more of the business. And then we get a montage of them getting it popping everywhere after that. On Ferris wheels, in the boys' locker rooms, their house, his house, pretty much anywhere you could think of. Then at the dinner table, Dad shows Aries his phone about him doing stuff on top of the tower. Yeah, just all chilling at the dinner table. He's like, really, son? Really? So basically, he really loves Raquel, and he basically wants to stay out of the family's way. So he goes over to Raquel and talks to her at work, tells her that he wants to go to medical school, and he's going to pay for it himself. But he really wants to talk to her boss so he can get a job there. So he gets a job, and he can't even take out the trash right. Apparently, he's never taken out trash before. He's never really sullied his hands on hard labor. Meanwhile, back at the Alpha house, Artemis is giving Claudia the business. But he acts like he don't love her either, but the thing is, he kind of does. But Artemis, you're fucking up because Claudia actually works there with y'all. Business and pleasure don't mix. So Artemis was digging around his brother Aries' room and he finds his work clothes. So he does some snooping at the carnival and he finds out he has been working there, right next to Raquel. So apparently Raquel's mom is going on a date or going to work doing something. Well, anyway, her mom is doing catering and Raquel has a date. She ends up going on a date with Aries, but it's going to a company party, so she could actually meet the family. The only problem is she thought they knew that she was coming. The thing is, they didn't. She pretty much feels awkward just being there, and then indirectly they end up downplaying her occupation. She gets to the point she don't even want to be there right now. Then all of a sudden she looks up to her left and sees her mom is actually catering here. She feels embarrassed even being there, she's pissed off at Aries, and then she dips out. But the family, more so Artemis and his dad, want him to be the gigolo he's always supposed to be. Yeah, it's crazy. She consoles with her friend Danielle at school, but when Daniela turns around, she sees her young boo coming in there with flowers and candy and shit. She's like, man, you can't be coming up to the school like this. He's like, look, can you go to the prom with me? She's like, look, man, you gotta chill out. At work, Aries tries to apologize to Raquel, but she ain't really having none of it. She's thinking to herself she's gonna go to a prom by herself. So for the first time in this movie, he actually decides to back off. She goes home, starts crying, she's consoled by her mom. Then mom tells her a story about her father. Now, her father passed away. The thing was that book, The Temple, Raquel thought people didn't want to publish the book. The thing was, her father never wanted it published. And she doesn't want Raquel to head that same path. She says, if you got a gift, let it out. I'm guessing this is like the lesson part of the movie or something. Raquel wants to go talk to Aries, but the family ain't having none of it. Mostly Artemis. Unsuccessful at that, she ends up going to the prom. Danielle is dancing with some other dude, but she don't want him. She want a young boo. She finally came around. Aries dishes his family and he ends up going to the prom, but he goes one-on-one face-to-face with Yoshi. He explains himself, and then after that he's like, if it makes you feel better, just take the first punch. Fuck it, just hit me. So Yoshi hits him and knocks him into the pool, but the thing is he didn't realize there was no water in the pool, and Aries is pretty fucked up. And on top of that, he accidentally knocked over a thing of chlorine in there. Man, he's all fucked up. Now you see that bottom part? That bottom part has water in it. The top part doesn't. So as Yoshi goes to get Raquel, Aries gets up and he slips into the other part of the pool. But it's on a slope, so he can't really get up out the pool. And once again, there's chlorine still pouring into the pool, which is a problem because Aries is allergic to chlorine. Yoshi waits all day to finally tell Raquel the situation. But he says he fell in the pool, everything should be fine. She's like, in the pool? What the fuck? So she goes in and tries to save his life. Yoshi throws in the rope to save both of them. Daniela comes back in there with a real boo. She's like, man, fuck these other niggas. So they get Aries to a hospital. I guess it looks like a hospital. It looks like a villa for her. It was touch and go at first, but she ended up saving his life. Hooray! So afterwards, his people's lightened up a little bit. They let him go to Stafford University so he could study medicine because that's what he wanted to do anyway. Gives her one last goodbye kiss. And 4 years later, she's actually speaking in front of people, giving her stories, and actually read the book, The Temple, to people. So she got over her fear. Then we see her in her room on the phone thinking about Aries, touching herself and whatnot. Then out the blue, this motherfucker pops up at the window. And he came back for her to give her the business. The end. So there you go. Nice little love story. It's all happy-dappy times. Through my window on Netflix. Check it out. Like, subscribe, do all that. You know what time it is. Look, these y'all, these, big. You got it slow.